All right, so I'm alive with Simile Julia, and I'm going to get into some Julia programming here, and let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so one of the things to point out here about this particular project is that I've got a dev container set up, which is nice, right? So what it means is that I've got my extensions loaded. It's configured for Julia by using this image, right, which is a Julia container. And then finally, if I go over to settings as well, if I go to code spaces, look at this, we can see that it actually has been pre-building, right? So this is nice because it allows me to actually use a very fast startup time. So if I go through here and I put this inside, we actually can do this. Put this up here, right? So we know that this thing is getting built. So we're in good shape. If I go and I launch a new code space, so go through here, I can say to this new with options and pick a big machine, create a code space, and we can get ready to go. Not sure why this is saying your connection was having issues, but let's refresh. There we go. So this should be again very. There we go. Look, extremely fast because of the pre-build dev containers, which is amazing. And then if I go to Julia documentation, one of the things that I wanted to do is just keep going down the pathway. I think I was at metaprogramming before, but I think it would be cool to do some kind of a fun topic like we read streams, asynchronous programming. I don't know if I want to do that necessarily. What looks like a fun thing to do today? Probably parallel computing, multi-threaded. That doesn't necessarily sound fun. I think a calculator app. Let's try that. Since I just built one in Swift, let's try to build a command line tool, and let's double check the documentation here. So if I go to README and we look at command line tool, so command line. Here we go. To build a tool, here's a good example. There's argparse. So let's go back to this real quick. Let's take a look at this argparse example. So Julia package allows creation of user-friendly command line interfaces. So to install this, use Julia's package manager mode by doing this and then entering add argparse. So let's get back. I think I had played with this before, but let's do it one more time, just so I can remember this. So today we'll say what episode, but we'll just call this November 15th. More CLI, basing the example from this guide of argparse, and let's do this. Okay, so we got this thing cooking. Now, next up, we're going to get into the package thing. So it says to start package, but so I think what I would do is do this. Just type in Julia. There we go. Now I'm actually curious. That's looks like a pretty new version. And then if I do that, there we go. So if you do so we would say step 1, launch Julia. Step 2, type in that. Right? Package manager mode. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Now, where does this thing live? which it is kind of weird. It's like add argparse, but where is this coming from? I don't know, but I guess let's do it. A little bit scary because we don't know what the Julia package repository is. Known registry using. Okay. So where does it put all this? And then what do we want to do next here? So, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and exit this now. Exit, quit. Registry. How do you get out of here? Help. Quit Julia package manager. Control C. Control C. Okay. And then we'll say that we did this here. And Control C to quit. So and then if we type in exits, there you go. So one issue though that's kind of spooky here is that, I mean, how do we manage packages for like lots of different examples and all this other stuff? Like, kind of a problem, but please don't tell me you have to use Conda. Not a fan of Conda, but if we go into this documentation though, we could try out building something out. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to now go to make a directory called CLI tools. How about that? And we're going to go into CLI tools. And then inside of here, I'm going to build one called calc.jl, Julia. And now what I can do is I can use my friend here, Copilot, to help me out. And let's just double check what version I'm using. Oh yeah, Nightly. And we have this one, which is great. And so I guess the next thing that I would do is, I always forget again the let's just look here real quick at the Julia comments. I thought, was it this? Like, well, we can do a shebang line. User bin env Julia, and we can say profile in current directory. Didn't know that. Okay, build a simple calculator using argparse. So there we go. We want to use argparse settings. So let's see. There's going to be a table. Let's just see what it gives us. Parsed args. Parsed args equals plus. Okay. elif. All right. Path is well, let's start with this. Second, first, add table, first number. So if I type in mod plus X here, calculator. What happens? That didn't work. Well, let's see here. So function parse command line, parse command line function. Let's use this to actually build off of. I think this would be a good thing to seed our Copilot with. So let's first start with this, and let's just build this first. So we got a help menu here. So this is going to parse the commands, and so for add an option with an argument, another option with an argument, without an argument, a flag. I see, and then positional arguments. So if I said this, I said, let's call this opt1 equals foo bar. There you go. Option 1 was foo, option 2. So I could probably use this as my template to try to build out a Julia command line tool and see how far I can get. And I think I can work with this. So what we can do is we can say number 1, and we can say argument type default. Here we can do this. We can say number 2, number 2, and this was the number 1. All right. Say first number to process. And we don't need this flag. We don't need this, so we can say second number to process. So say second number to process. That looks good. Looks good. There we go. Prints parsed args. And let's try this out. So let's do number 1. Number 1 would be 5. I'll say number 2 would be 10. Misspelled this, so there we go. 2. All right, well that worked. So I'm halfway there. So we can do print parsed, and we can even do like let's build another well, there's not much to do, but if we wanted to just build like a help menu, let's see how the help menu is set up here. Settings, argument table, parsing details. I don't see an easy way to do. So positional arguments, usage. How do I change the usage? That would be nice. Quick overview, quick example, contents, commands. I see that so commands are a special kind of argument that introduces subparsing. I see. So that's kind of cool. So you could build subcommands. Hmm. That might be kind of fun to play around with. So let's try that. So first, I'm going to get the basics working, which is we'll say like um, print sum of this is parse args. Okay. Ooh, that's not working. So we'll say function, say add numbers. There you go. We can say number parse number one, parse args number two. Let's try that out. There you go. The sum of 5 and 10 is 15. Pretty cool. So that looks good. And one thing I wanted to double check though, while I'm in here, since I've got this working. So first, I'll just look at the status. I'm going to go up a directory for a second. Get status. Let's add this community tools directory and add readme. Just commit this real quick and just working add CLI. Now the other thing though is say working example in CLI tools, and I can even do a get pull. Get forget what is it? Get stash pop, and then get add readme example. There you go. What I would love to know how is it, does Julia have a linting tool? Lint Julia code. How does that work? Oh, there we go. You can do it. So let's start making this like a real project. So what we're going to do is also, let's look at the history. Let's do this. Just do that. And then to set up this thing, to set up lint, put the documentation here. And there we go. So let's read the documentation for this though. So it says packages like jet.jl can analyze code at runtime. Linter, Julia and VS Code. Let's double check this. Let's start. So we want to look at this. And let's see, how do we use this in like a make file? Jet employs Julia's type the notice version. Okay, so we have a demo. We want to know where to fix it. You can say use. Oh, you can have. Using Jet. What if I don't want something that fancy? Weird. This is kind of a weird program. I mean, What if I just want to run it? Like I don't want to do the fancy watching, using Jet. Oh, how to int code in Makefile Julia. Here we go. I'm playing around with this. I want to use a Makefile. Julia Makefile. Oh, Lint's jail. To assist by detecting bugs. Updated a year ago. So it can be added with Lint. Getting started. What if I just want to run it from the terminal using Lint? Kind of a bummer. I don't see a great command, like command line linting Julia. There we go. This. That's exactly what I'm looking for. The closest thing appears to be this. Using static lint. This was last month. Using static lints. Well, for another day. I gave it a little bit of a look. Say, not sure how to do it. So that's definitely a little bit of an issue to take a look at. So I'll probably have to do something about that soon. So I'm going to just keep moving on though, and get into building this into a more sophisticated tool, and figure out the linting stuff later. But basically, I have this calculator that does work. But what if I want to make it a little bit fancier, and maybe even do like a essentially like a subcommands, right? And so this is one of the things we can do is we can do add subcommands here. And now this command though, where does this guy come from? These other commands, do they show me a working example? Argument groups command 1, argtable. Oh, this could be complicated. Let's try though. So let's see if we can build out one of these subcommands here. So let's try this. I mean, I guess I can just copy it so I don't screw it up. So I'll just say git cp calc. So let's go back into CLI tools, and let's cp calc and call this subcalc. So it'll have multiple commands. Let's just get rid of this and let's add that. Let's just double check this. Something like that. What do we have before? Argtable. Add argtable. So it would look, yeah, it would look something like that. Okay. Now the semicolon in end. Now, is there a Julia linter? That would be kind of interesting. Like, for example, like I don't know if my code is good or bad, which is annoying. Let's see what we got here. Julia, markdown, a formatter. That looks interesting. Julia formatter. Let's add this to dev container. And then language support. What does this have? Lint. I guess it does have some kind of a lint here. Let's just see here. We have a begin, end, but do I have too many ends? Let's look at the other end. So we have a begin, end, and end. So begin, end. Now this looks like there's an extra end here. Right. I can't tell though because the linting, it's hard to know. Add the two numbers. So the first command would be add. I'm going to do that. If we say subtract, right? So that looks good. Add subtracts. Parse number. Now, what I don't know is how you put it all together now. This is going to get real tricky real quick. So I guess I could just delete this. And I could say, something like, see what it gives me. So build that uses subcommands. Uses, what are these called again? These are called that uses commands. That uses commands. That uses commands. So parse command line, number 1, number 2, option. So how do you add options to the command though? Help first command, help second command. Let's keep going. All this add command, add numbers, and we'll do another help, and we'll do subtract two numbers. I'm not sure how you can format. I don't see how this formatting tool works, by the way, which would be here. How does this even work? Features. Oh, see command line switches. How does this work? Would it be Julia format? Julia format. No clue. No clue how to use the formatter. But let's just see Julia, or yeah, let's just do subcalc. Yeah, it's totally blown up. um, the nothing works here. So we have now the opt too is like what is this? So we have arg table, adding numbers, parse arguments. Yeah, this may be beyond my current skill with Julia. At least I got something working. This might be a good thing to try on another occasion here, but yeah, I would have to see a working example of this. I see settings, I see the arg table, parse args, but they're showing me basically nothing that's helpful, which is unfortunate. Where's your edit in GitHub? Let's go to GitHub. Let's look at this guy's documentation here. Give me an example. Okay, so we got an example. Nice. They're all not labeled. Okay. Well, let's look at this one. What does this do? Okay, let's look at this one. What does this one do? Okay, let's look at 6. Here we go. This is what we care about probably. Wow. Well, let's grab this and let's throw this in there. Let's just do that. Oh. Julia. Command given. So it's got 2 commands. One's called run, one called jump. So let's see here. We have action adds a command which will be read from an argument. Add another one which has 2 aliases. Yeah, this is definitely interesting. I'm gonna have to spend a little bit of time debugging this a little bit, but that's a good place to stop for today. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to check all this in. I got one thing working, which is nice. Status git add.dev container. Add this super fancy tool. So linting is definitely going to help me. I need to figure out how to do this. It's hard for me to code without it. Adding examples. So that's probably going to be on my list. I'm going to even put that as a like a like I don't know, next up, figure out linting and testing. That I can't even code without it. So, and we'll do push. Yeah, for complicated code, I must do linting and testing. But see you in a couple weeks.